This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
This half hour being brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors, Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, the best in new inventory, great pre-owned inventory. With the Sunbury Motors Guarantee, a terrific service department that backs you up every step of the way. Inspections, routine, difficult, quick lane, all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors, Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Your phone broke? Hello?
Sorry, I'm having phone troubles on my end.
Do you want me to call him?
Yeah, you can.
Sure, I can call him. Why not? See if he answers. So, we'll attempt to call Neal Coolong live on the show because your phone broke. Right? Let's see. If he answers and says it's Bill's Pizza...
Hey, I stopped myself. I was going to read off the number to you, and that's not good.
No, I don't think it is. Matter of fact. Yeah. Unless he changed his number, we'll see. Now, if I'm getting a crazy signal on the other end, might have the... I don't know if he changed his number or not. You can text it to me.
Yes.
So you can do that. That would be a lot of fun. Steelers will draft 21 tomorrow, or excuse me, Thursday, and the Eagles will draft 32. I believe 32 signifies that you're the world champion. You never know. So, yeah. But I thought the Steve Samsel, Darian Summers conversation was interesting yesterday. What did you think about their Hall of Fame selections?
As a homer, I was thinking the name that popped into my head was Kelly Mazzanti, but I mean, I can't come up with anybody you would replace her with. So
right. That is the number I called, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah.
I'm just getting kind of an odd signal as a return. No, I don't know. Can he call? If I text him, can he call you?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to do. I was going to...
Yeah, text him and tell him to call us. That'd be great. That would work. Yeah. Again, no need to complain, no need to panic. Just come up with solutions. Talking about
live
that
radio.
No, but you come up with solutions, you know? Let's see, top 5 safeties. KJ's Winston is 4. Emanawari from South Carolina 1. Malachi Starks 2. Xavier Watts 3. KJ is 4. Very nice. Yeah. It's I wonder how the draft is going to play as time goes, because it seems like there's less and less depth in drafts. For some reason. Now, why, I don't know. Two of more fascinating players are Tyler Warren and Ashton Genty. I think Warren wins for anybody. I mean, anybody. Warren has a lot of Travis Kelce to him. And I was talking on when I was on NFL Network, I don't know, I guess it was 10 days ago. Yeah, it was 10 days. It was the 12th. And I brought that up. I said, there's a lot of Travis Kelce in him, except he's a better blocker. And look, when Tyler came here, he was a quarterback. He transitioned to tight end. He had to learn how to block. One of the greater influences on him in his ability to block was Brenton Strange. And Brenton Strange really helped Tyler in the blocking end of it. And, of course, Tyler put on size. He ended up getting into the upper 250s. And he's already 6'6" to begin with. Great hands. Not just good hands, great hands. Like meat cleavers. And this is where so he's a better blocker than Kelce. But he is similar to Kelce in that he has the ability to find openings in coverages. I mean, think about all the times where Warren was open. And you know darn well going into the week, he was the number one guy that your secondary was concerned about. And he still found openings. Now, when he had to make tough catches, he made tough catches. I mean, that catch he made in the Fiesta Bowl for the touchdown in the back of the end zone in the, third quarter was a really tough catch. Everybody will talk about the play against USC where he snapped the ball. But the end result's a touchdown because he makes a really tough catch. So he does a lot of things that Kelce does, except he's a better blocker than Kelce. Now, Kelce, of course, is a veteran who's done it on the league level for a decade now. And then there's Genty. Genty is going to be somewhat helped by what Saquon Barkley did this past year. Normally, there's not an intense desire outside of maybe a Saquon Barkley and Ezekiel Elliott or a Bijan Robinson to pick a running back in the top 10. But Genty ran for 2,600 yards. Now, the concern about him is going to be simple. Okay? The amount of wear and tear on him over the last 2 years. And that has to be a legitimate thought about drafting him, because he has had a lot of carries. Not a few carries. I mean, he's had a lot of carries. But here's the great thing about Genty. He ran for 2,600 yards last year, right? He was able to get 1,800 yards after contact. His yards after contact would have made him the fourth highest rusher in America. How about that? But here will be the overall issue. The overall issue will be this. He has 594 carries in the last 2 years. Okay? 750 in 4 years. Or 3 years, 3 years. And of the 594, 374 were last season. You also add in the receiving part of it. Now, he was much more of a figure in the passing game in 2023. As opposed to 24. He had 43 catches in 2023. Now, that's what, if you recall, when I was talking about Genty going into the Fiesta Bowl, that would be the draft part that would be intriguing to people because he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He had 43 catches for 569 yards and 5 touchdowns. He averaged over 13 yards of reception in 12 games in 23. Now, last year, 23 catches for 138, not so much. But you're talking about between receiving and carrying the ball, you're talking about 650 touches of the football the last 2 years. 49 touchdowns as well, so very productive. But do you worry about the wear and tear of 650 touches in 2 years in 26 games? So what, 650 touches, right? Okay, so have a little math fun here. 650, he did so in 26 games. That's 25 touches a game. Okay. There you go. I'm going to assume there was no success with Neal. That's why he's fascinating. The number of touches. Now, he's going to be a top 10 pick. You know, Barkley was there at 2. I think Zeke Elliott was a 4. Bijan Robinson was a 7 or 8. Genty's a heck of a player. That's why what Penn State did to him in the bowl game was just flat-out outstanding defense. They were the one team that really stopped him. I mean, they kept him in the game late just to get him to 100 yards. Jack and I picked up on it right away. Two of us were like, ooh, they're just trying to get him 100 yards. Like, really? That's what this is about now? And he had to fight to get to it. He had to fight to get to it. But they did a phenomenal job. And now Amari Hampton is the other big-time running back in this draft. And
working feverishly here, but still haven't figured it out.
It's all right. Do you need me to text him?
Well, I did talk to Neal. He tried to call here, and we still couldn't get him, but he's aware that we're having troubles.
Let's see here. Let's do this. Of course, I have to figure out how to see if he can call this number. Because at least we know after yesterday this works.
We worked this worked yesterday, I swear.
Are you sure? Well, nothing works since Captain, let's knock the whole place off the air because I'm mad. I mean, really. I don't remember what this thing is called. Yeah. I know I have it on here somewhere. Let's see here. Nope, wrong line. Oh, let me go back to. Well, we'll work it out here. We'll get it done here at some point. But Amari Hampton's the other guy, too, you have to take a long look at. I mean, not a bad player, but he's not going to be a top 10 player. I mean, I know Hampton's really good. I have it, but I picked Travion Henderson. Every time I saw Henderson made plays. Every time I saw Henderson play, and I saw Henderson obviously play a lot against Penn State. Oh, there we go. Let's see. Let's try that. Okay. So I have to send it to you. Of course, it would help if I ever texted you. Hold on a second here. But, I mean, that's where, Henderson to me is, he catches the ball, makes big plays. The only thing with him is once in a while he gets banged up. That's the biggest issue with him. Let's see here. Because every time I turned around, it was always, like every season, there seemed to be an issue. That, although having Judkins with him this year, and Judkins will probably be a second-round pick, by having him with him this year, I thought it made a big difference in Henderson's health all season long. And you saw how Henderson played in the college football playoff. I thought he was tremendous. There we go. There you go. So what we'll do is we'll take a break. Okay, we'll put ice on the phones, cool them down, see if maybe that works. Nothing works.
So we can try.
Nothing works since you know who went in yesterday and shut it down. Normally when you reboot your phone, your iPad, your laptop, you can get results. But when the suit tries to reboot, everything is broken. There's just certain people out there that are really good at that stuff. Todd, the bottom line is, he wrecked the place. All right. Here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
At Sunbury Motors, we're not just from America, we're for America. That's why we're proud to announce our employee pricing program with incredible savings on 255 new eligible Fords. Right now, save up to $6,797 on 25 2025 Ford Explorers, starting at under $40,000. Save up to $2,665 on 16 2025 Ford Mavericks, starting just under $28,000. And for those who need strength and power, save up to $10,541 on 60 2025 Ford F-150s, starting at under $48,000. These are more than vehicles. They represent American craftsmanship, strength, and pride. At Sunbury Motors, we're proud to be American-made, American-owned, and dedicated to helping you drive through 2025 with confidence. Sunbury Motors, American-made, American-owned, and coming alive in 2025.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And the half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, light business, boat, motorcycle, RV. And not only that, but also Medicare products. They do a great job making sure you're fully insured, and they do a great job of doing everything they can to save you money. It is all at Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. We'll see if we can get things to work on this end and get Neal on the air. Hopefully we can. If we can, great. And we can't. But to figure it out, obviously, somebody destroyed the hybrid. It wasn't you.
I hope not.
Oh, come on. Were you the one yesterday that...
Let's put it this way. It worked the last time I used it.
Exactly. Before you know who took a baseball bat to the equipment in a fit of rage. Yeah, it's not ringing here, Todd. So I don't know.
All right.
I mean, I know it rings because I called it. But that's, oh well, gave it a shot. I gave it a shot. Like I said, I tried calling out to him earlier. You know, for all I know, that my calls are limited to 3 miles. No? Bad?
I hope not. That puts a damper on the rest of the week.
Yes, it does, as a matter of fact. Yes, it does. Yeah, again, for all I know, our calls can only go 3 miles. I don't know. No, see, can't connect with him on this end when I call him. I get the same signal each time. So, oh well. Yeah. So you might not be, it just might not be able to connect to what they're doing. You know, you try. That's all you can do is try. Ah, well. So, there we are. Yeah.
I don't want to break Neal's streak because it's our fault.
Oh, hold on. Au contraire. Wait a minute. You speak. Hello, Neal. There you go. Hold on. There we are. Here we are. We're all set. Here, let me switch this over. Okay. So we switch that over. We switch this over. We do that. And Neal Coolong now joins the show. The streak is alive, Neal.
You bet it is. You bet it is. Absolutely.
Hear me. Let's see.
Different time here, but
hello, Neal.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Thought we had him.
Steve, I can hear him. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. There's got to be a reason why I can't hear Neal. That can't be it right there. There's got to be a reason why I can't do it. Let's try that. Neal?
I am here.
Ah, there we are. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the streak, by the way, is still alive. I mean,
most people consider it a good thing that they can't hear me. But,
no.
In this instance.
Look, first of all, you blew away DiMaggio's streak years ago. I mean, really.
That was the aim from the crib. That's what I was aiming for in life.
That was the aim from day one. All right. So it is finally draft week, Green Bay. I did ask you last week, but just remind us, will you watch the draft at home like we do, or where will you watch it from?
You know, I will watch the draft at home, and I would anyway. And I've been asked that a lot just because my general proximity to Green Bay is closer than it is to, say, Los Angeles. But, one, Green Bay is 5 hours away. Two, there's about 450 hotel rooms in Green Bay, and they're probably all booked by ESPN. Yeah. Three, I don't know if there is a less media-friendly event than the draft.
I agree.
There's not exactly a whole lot of people to talk to. They whisk away the draft picks quickly. You don't have access to them at all before they go up on stage to, take their cap and hug the commissioner and all that. There really is no value to being there from a media perspective. ESPN, obviously NFL Network is there as well, but ESPN owns the rights to it, and they go all in with it. It's their event. They're not going to do anything outside of their own exclusive access to whoever it is that's there, and there really aren't very many people there. You might notice, too, whoever it is, that I don't even know this. Maybe somebody else is more aware of this. I'm not even sure who it is turns the card in, if they even turn a card in anymore.
Right.
I don't even know personnel-wise who does that within an NFL team. But for years, they've all been back in their own headquarters. You see the shots of them. They do the pan celebration, and they're really fired up that they got this guy in the fourth round and that whole bit. All of the access that they provide at team level, they're already there. You're camped out in the media room watching the draft along with the other draft writers, kind of hanging out and doing your thing in there, and eventually they'll roll in the coach, the GM, the position coach, or they'll have the conference call with the pick. A really long, tedious day doing all of that. So maybe these guys would rather be in Green Bay hanging out among the fans, kind of walking around looking for something to do. But, yeah, it's a really hectic, busy day, but there's nothing access-wise that would make it worth being a media member in person.
In watching it,
I've gone as a fan before, and that's all right. I mean, it's a big party.
Yeah. In watching it, who do you watch and why?
Who do I watch, like network-wise?
Yeah, for the draft, and why?
I don't know what I should say here. I watch ESPN. I personally, NFL Network is insufferable to me. I can't stand it. We have kind of a running thing, and I've been a couple different places now the last couple of years. A few people have been with me at each of these stops, and it's sort of a tradition. You call out what network you're going to watch.
Okay.
Somebody will handle whatever online. You get different stuff, different bits. Usually, like the team headquarter perspective. You get that video. You're looking to be able to do something off of that. And one group watches the ESPN broadcast. The other group watches the NFL Network broadcast. Those who know and those who have done it before want the ESPN one. The ones who don't know or don't really care typically haven't covered, the draft for 4 days. But it's just my own personal taste. Some people salt, some people pepper. For me, I am already expecting to be basically glued to this for the better part of the next 60 hours when I sit down, say an hour before the draft starts Thursday.
Right.
I can't stand to listen to NFL Network, most of their people. It's almost as if they pick them to be this way. I can't stand to listen to them for more than a half an hour at a time. I couldn't imagine listening to that all day. That's just way too much for me. There is a production value as well. I understand how much heat ESPN gets for basically everything that it does, and some of it's deserved. Some of it is because they're just the biggest and the best, so they're going to take heat. That's the nature of how things work. Their production value is just a lot better. I feel like they get the better analysts, more of what they do, especially with the downtime in between, the things that you have to kind of segue quickly in and out of. They're better at that. They're more prepared for it. And it's not just, well, let's make up some time by telling some stupid jokes. They have ways to kind of go into this segment or that thing. They're more prepared. And typically you're able to do that when you have the amount of money that you have. And again, it's their event. So for me, ESPN's a better one to watch, but I will dive in online and kind of take a look around at what teams are doing with their coverage, their own broadcasts, just to get a sense of, what's being said. And you're always kind of looking out for interesting tidbits, funny stuff that comes up, the memorable moments that you want to grab. You got to be on the lookout for that. Bolo is something we say a lot. Be on the lookout, for whatever might come up. This is really what people are looking for on draft day. You probably have a pretty good idea who they're going to take in the first round, and the average fan has no clue who they're going to take after that. So whatever insight that you can give them, whatever is humanistic, that lends well to coverage beyond just the scouting jargon and all that stuff that, frankly, people are sick of probably a week ago, if not longer ago. They don't need any more of the laser rocket arm and dropping balls in the bucket and stuff like that. They want to know who the kid is that they just took. And really the main question to answer, and we've talked about this, how is this guy going to help us win a Super Bowl? Not in a literal sense, but what's he doing to add to the team? What does the team get from this? You're looking any way that you can find information on that player, and the team website, can often be the best form of it because they've got the most active coverage. They're going to have first crack at the player when he was drafted. They're going to have the exclusive video with him when he comes in. So you kind of keep track of all that stuff as you go throughout the whole period.
The league can be a copycat league, as we know. Saquon Barkley broke through and had a great year. And now you're looking at Ashton Genty possibly being a top 10 pick, and Amari and Hampton, and maybe in the second round at Travion Henderson. How do you look at those three running backs? And is a running back slightly more attractive now because of Barkley, or is it still the same in your mind? That's
an interesting question, and I would say this. I think with Barkley, it's almost a chicken versus the egg conversation, because I certainly we're not having any problems with his athleticism, with his explosiveness. We've seen that come to roost. I would argue he's in a better position to exploit that in Philadelphia than he was in New York. Mm-hmm. And because of what they did, he added to something that was there in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. And Philadelphia got something that was there in Barkley. The real issue here was it was always under the pall of running backs don't have value, they don't matter anymore, blah, 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 they're not being paid, all of this stuff. Well, Barkley destroyed that entire argument, obviously. You have a guy like Ashton Genty who has that type of explosion in his game. The question is, do you want to have a versatile three-down back on the field? And that question, in my opinion, was answered affirmatively by a couple teams 5-6 years ago whenever Barkley came into the league. More teams now are answering it that way, right, largely because of Barkley. But the Giants' inability to do a whole lot with Barkley in all phases of the game, to put him out into space, to have the right playmakers around him to help set up the space that he needs to really maximize his ability. If you don't have that, you shouldn't be worried about the running back in a premium round. Right. I give you Najee Harris, who, to be fully honest, is almost literally half the player Saquon Barkley is. It's funny, if you look at their stats together, Barkley has twice as much as basically every stat that matters in the NFL than Harris does. the Steelers' offense was not going to help Najee Harris out a whole lot. What they wanted him to do, interestingly enough, is a lot like Hampton.
Yeah.
I've said this a couple times. I think Hampton is the most Mike Tomlin running back who's ever lived.
Right.
I'd be surprised if he didn't come out with him somehow, one way or another.
Right.
But Barkley, Gentry, these guys are big-time playmakers. And when they're inside of an offense that wants to be full of big-time playmakers and call an offense for that, you need dudes. You look at what happened in Detroit with Ben Johnson, it's the same type of thing. They brought in playmakers. Now, we scoffed them at the time. We laughed about how valueless running backs are and how you can get 10 of them in later rounds and all this stuff that just simply isn't true. It's a dollar question more than anything else. They're making hay with a variety of options in their backfield. So it's not just necessarily about one guy. It's your ability to have a couple of them. And in Philadelphia's case, they don't have to do it with the running back. They can do it with their receivers as well. But either way, they're coming up with ways to get these guys in space. And I think Gentry certainly is that type of player. I don't know if Hampton is that much of a playmaker. Junkins as well. These are plotting kind of power runners, some elusiveness, but not really a whole lot, very consistent, very durable. You like their makeup. You like their game. But obviously, Gentry is the one that you're thinking about when it comes to a comparison with the reigning offensive player of the year. And a large part of that is because he is able to exploit open space wherever he starts on the field. And oddly enough, this is all the same argument that one infamous Steelers running back made a long time back in the day when he wouldn't take the franchise tag. Right. He wanted to be an all-around playmaker. Le'Veon Bell, of course, is who I'm talking about. Right. They used him that way. And he was very dynamic. He was without injuries, a 2,000-plus yard from scrimmage back. One of the best receivers on the team, let alone obviously the best running back on the team. I think Gentry has that kind of ability. It's a question of whoever wants him is going to have to commit to using him that much and take on the risk of injury, of course. But you also have to have a scheme that can play wide. They can not worry so much about the quarterback attacking from shotgun most of the time, 5 guys on the line, getting rid of the ball in space, and letting playmakers make plays down the field. If a team wants to do that, which I think Ben Johnson's Chicago Bears would love him if he falls to 10, Pete Carroll at 6 with Las Vegas makes a lot of sense as well. If you want to do that, Gentry's your guy, and I don't care where you're picking. He's going to be a huge success with either of those coaches. Focusing on them for 3 down. But that also means, though, you got to keep doing it. You can't give him 12 touches a game because you didn't get to it. He's got to be fed. You've got to you have to be committed to getting him the ball in space. If you do that, I think he's going to be excellent.
Because I think the key with Gentry is not just what he did this past season with 2,601 yards. In broadcasting the Fiesta Bowl, you had to research guys. He didn't do a lot in the pass game this year, but he had over 40 catches in his second season in 2023 for like 13 yards a catch. In other words, he can get involved in the pass game. I think that's one of the keys to drafting him.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think Gentry robbed himself of carries because he broke plays off tackle for 40 yards a pop. That's how you get to 2,600 rushing yards. You couldn't stop him. But if you saw him exactly as you put it the year before, he showed he can catch the ball. In workouts, he showed he can catch the ball. He can run routes. He can get himself open. That's not a problem. It's not like they didn't. They got him the ball plenty. It just seemed to work pretty well for them running. I think he would be in a more dynamic passing offense, a shorter passing offense in the NFL. That's the team that would want to take him, somebody that wants to do that kind of thing. And again, we saw Ben Johnson do that plenty, and he did a great job in Detroit when he was there. And I think Chicago is open to that now. A relative lack of playmakers, they're going to continue to add to that with a good young quarterback, a good tight end set that they have there as well. There are ways to attack short. I think this is why Ben Johnson was so excited to go to Chicago and basically didn't talk to anybody else. Not Caleb Williams as much as just the foundation of everything that they have fits in well to how he sees offensive football being played. We've seen Pete Carroll probably run more of your power gap stuff than anything else. But I think in taking this job, he's got to look very clearly at what he has. Geno Smith is not going to be a guy that's going to throw you to victory every single week. You're going to have to do a lot. And if you want to do that, you got to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands and into playmakers' hands. And they don't really have any of those either. Genty, without question, is going to be the best playmaker available overall at 6. And if it's me, that's my prediction. But for the sake of football, I would really like to see Genty in Chicago because I think they really could do a lot of things together. That would be a fun team to watch.
Finally, what's to you going into this something that intrigues you and you're interested to see what the answer is?
Oh, that's a good question. How does the NFL truly look at quarterbacks 2 through 5 in this draft? In other words, where's the 5th quarterback drafted being drafted? 5th round or 3rd? 2nd even? It's interesting in the sense that I don't like the ceiling really on any of them overall. There's some good stuff there with Cam Ward. The one we're talking about the most at the end of this might be, call it 10 years from now, it might be Jalen Milroe.
Yeah.
He's the toolsy one. He's got the best makeup, but he doesn't know how to throw a ball.
Right, exactly.
That's obviously a problem.
Yeah, you have pitchers and throwers. Well, he's a thrower, not a quarterback.
You're going to have to teach him quite a bit. He's going to have to lock into getting better. At the same time, though, and I know how convenient these examples are, but if you're looking at a ceiling, basically, I am not at all comparing the two. As far as their development goes, though, there's a reasonable comparison in a high and low way. Lamar Jackson coming out of college and Jalen Milroe coming out of college.
Right.
You see the physical talent of Milroe. He doesn't know how to control his body. His feet are not very good. In other words, his footwork, he's off balance. Jackson had some of those, not all of them. Jackson was clearly going to be a highly drafted quarterback. In my opinion, I think he went later than he probably should have.
Right.
Clearly, it looks like that now in retrospect. But at the time, I was like, this is a guy you might take in the 20s. I think Milroe can kind of draw on some of the same comparisons in the sense that not aiming to play him in year one, which you might remember Lamar Jackson really didn't. He came in packages and stuff, but he wasn't there yet. And his second year, while he took over the league just as a dynamic athlete, he wasn't a good passer. He's not ever going to be one of the 5 best throwers in the game.
Right.
Milroe, though, has a better arm.
Right.
And there are a lot of people that I think this is crazy, but there are a lot of people that say he might be the best running quarterback we've ever seen. I think he's really good, but I've seen Lamar Jackson do things that I didn't think were physically possible, so I'm not going to crown him with that yet. But look at that makeup. If you want to build something the way Baltimore did, and you look at the foundation of their team, for as good as they were with an inexpensive quarterback who just simply couldn't be schemed to be stopped when he could just run. They didn't. They had because of his running ability, they had a long runway before he had to throw the ball well. And he's a much better passer now than he was. Again, though, he's not going to be the best quarterback in the league, but he's consistently among the best producers. I think Milroe will intrigue somebody to that level, and because of that, I wonder where you'd put him, and if he is somebody that's going to escape the Steelers at 21, or if the Saints aren't going to try to make a move to get back, fall back a bit in round 1 to add some components to their team to buy them time to let their first-round pick, build in season. I'm not sure it's the best spot for him in Pittsburgh, but I would definitely think teams are going to talk themselves into his ability, and they've probably talked down what they feel about him overall, because I think he's kind of the secret dynamic player of this draft. Wouldn't at all surprise me if he was taken in the first round, but I don't think he gets past Cleveland at 33 if he doesn't. So to me, I think that's really where the fun part of it is, how a team sees him and how they want to develop him. And then where do the other quarterbacks go before him and after him? Who's it going to be?
Yeah.
Who will be third? Who will be second? Maybe it's not even going to be Shador. We don't know that. It's always open to speculation and intrigue. To me, I think Milroe is the most intriguing player in this draft, just for those reasons.
Awesome as always, my friend. Thank you.
Definitely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Neal Coolong joining us on the show today as we overcome all the suits shenanigans.